Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spinner Rack. We also have
Calvin Ellis, ready to rock.
today we are doing That Neighbor. We are doing That Neighbor. Have you seen the trailer?
Your friendly neighbor?
No, that they use the neighbor in the song like the N word.
Oh,
That neighbor.
uh-oh, uh-oh.
And I'm like, what, did he just say, that neighbor, like, yo, I know that inflection of the word. Like,
Uh-oh.
this isn't what's that movie? This isn't Jackie Brown where we treat a neighbor, Nubian. Try to
I'll
find
let
a,
you make that tie-in. I'll let you make that tie-in later when we talk about hairstyles, like braids.
oh God, I was about to forget about that. But at the same time, I am not fully caught up. So we have our man Cal, the comic book hero. He's gonna help us out. Lead it off. You got the
Oh my
comic,
goodness.
as they say.
I have seen every Spider-Man cartoon ever. Every iteration. No, with the exception of one. That one that came in between the 60s and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which we both know was a high point. That was just a great show, brought in a whole bunch of other characters. It was just really, really cool. So, and I've enjoyed all of them. I'm pretty certain I would have enjoyed that one that I missed out on. But, I saw the original TV show, all these different forms, and it is really hard. It is really hard to watch this and like, man, I'm just not enjoying this. This is not good. This is not good. What is, like, I don't understand what happened to the Spider-Man character as he was, and why are these changes being made? Who likes them? Oh, of course, it's the people who I've actually discussed it with. I think one of the things I thought that was really telling, because they're going for this particular look, they wanted to have a comic book look, like out of the 60s or something, in terms of, like the panels and the design. And I'm like, that's great. But did you guys actually read any of the comics from the 60s? This is so tone deaf in terms of the character overall. It's really hard to watch. I keep watching, like, okay, well, maybe it'll pick up. Maybe there'll be something I can tune into. And there's nothing. There's just been nothing at the end of the day. And Spider-Man he's one of my top five. It's Superman, Spider-Man, Black Panther, Captain America, and then I got a floating fifth. Somebody can work their way out at the end of the day, depending on how good. But Spidey, he's Spider-Man, Superman, Batman. Those are the only three archetypes in comic books. He's supposed to be the everyman, and instead they turned him into like Richard Pryor, where he's scared of every other thing going on. Oh, we have like, no, what is going on? Mistake number one: everybody on the show is somebody. Everybody on the show is somebody. His friends all become are all going to become super villains, or they're going to become superheroes. Every single one of them. The girl he has a crush on, superhero. The football quarterback, he's going to become a supervillain. His best friend, she's going to become a superhero. Everybody who gets invited to Osborn, all of them are going to become superheroes. And I'm like, there are no regular people. And this is an everyman. And there are no regular people. Well, I don't want to take the whole thing. You can grab Uncle Ben, I suppose. But, they are going to they're sidelining Uncle Ben for Aunt May, which I don't understand, because Uncle Ben has such a small part to play, even though it's so pivotal. But it's like, he can't have anything. He can't have anything. Okay. He makes I don't want to get any further at that. We have this incredibly ridiculous suit that he's running around with. He goes and he gets new suits from Norman Osborn. And I'll get to that. I'll definitely, get to the Norman Osborn stuff too. But he goes and he gets these new suits from Norman Osborn. He can't use one because it has a cape. Oh, my cape got caught. He can't fly in the other one. But I'm supposed to believe that he can swing around with this tank on his back, okay, and these wires, exposed, and they never get caught on anything. The tank never flips him over. That's perfectly fine. But the ones that are streamlined, look like they're actually made for superheroing, that's an issue. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh no, more Richard Pryor. Oh, no,
Yeah.
again, the approach is, I can always tell when the approach is, we think this stuff is stupid,
Mhm.
and we can come over here and we can improve this. We're going to make Spidey generic. He's not a kid who made a suit, okay, and went out, and over time, went from being on stage to being a superhero. Like, no, he's a kid, so the first outfit's going to look terrible. It's going to look like a 5-year-old made it. And then, of course, hey, he can't do anything on his own, so he's got to have help. He needs tech support. So we got Norman Osborn in the form of Best Buy, we can call in on, and he loses all agency. He loses that important agency that the character had, especially in those early days, because he was a teenager. People thought he was an adult, but he was a teenager. He was what was he, a sophomore in high school when he starts? So he would have been like 15, 16 at the most, and he's fighting against adults. So that means, when he beat somebody, he was doing it on his own, and he was a kid. Here, he's calling an adult for help. He can't make his own outfit. He's fighting against two people. Norman Osborn has to tell him what to do, as opposed to him being resourceful enough on his own to be able to get this done. I just look at this whole thing like, all of these changes. I was like, who is this for? And I don't get it. I really don't get it, because I was a kid, got introduced to Spider-Man. None of this was part of Spider-Man. None of this was part of Spider-Man. Okay? The biggest thing, and I'll end with this for now, is that his worst enemy is the Green Goblin. His worst enemy is Norman Osborn. And it takes all of 2 episodes for Norman Osborn to find out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. If you saw Spider-Man Far From Home, was it No Way Home? William Dafoe did such a good job in showing why Norman Osborn is so dangerous. Because you're not angry with Norman Osborn, okay? It's the Green Goblin that you have to be careful of and beware of. But that can happen within a split second. The Goblin could come over here, fake you out before you know it. You're in a real perilous situation, because you don't know when this is happening, because that switch, he's a very deadly villain. There's no reason that he should have this information, and they just threw it away. And then within like a couple of episodes, Harry knows, and he's Green Goblin Jr. I'm like, I don't get this. I understand that you think that secret identities are stupid and you don't want to be bothered with them. That's why all of his friends are going to become superheroes, so he doesn't have to have a secret identity. But his worst enemy shouldn't know. Okay, it's just ridiculous that he should know. But then again, it goes back to, okay, this stuff is stupid anyway. So he doesn't, come on. We already know Spidey's going to win. He's never going to get killed by the Green Goblin. So who cares if the Green Goblin knows his secret identity? Okay, we just won't follow through with all of the logical stuff that happened when the Green Goblin found out his identity in the comics and nearly killed him. It was ridiculous. Ugh. All right, I think that's enough of a rant for me for now.
Well, one of the things you have to remember when you're looking at the original comic books and having Peter Parker before he gets bit by the spider, and then the one that was the TV sensation that is the character, the humorous character that we get regularly in Spider-Man. And when this portion of him, which has the moment which doesn't, allows Uncle Ben to, get killed inadvertently, is a moment for him where he kind of let go of, what he was. But at the same time, he still kept some of that angle when he becomes Spider-Man to have fun. This one is a kid that doesn't have any of that. His mistake is trying to do too much, and I think they pulled that from Homecoming, like saying, I'm trying to help everyone, but obviously trying to coordinate all these things at once doesn't work. So he has that portion, but you don't get to I think ultimately what Ditko saying this, as a kid, someone who could have made a mistake. He made a mistake in this part, whereas he doesn't make mistakes as far as has a temper, but he doesn't make mistakes at like that. But at the same time, it's like we just have this character just trying to be, just do the right thing, and do the right thing even though the wrong thing happens to him. So as you go along, I think, I saw, I've seen I think the first 3, and then someone forced me to watch the Daredevil fight, which was kind of cool, but at the same time, Daredevil, when they fought in the comic books, even before Spider-Man became as powerful as he is, Spider-Man was mind control. It's like, hey, this guy's pretty tough. I got to figure a way around this, and he figures a way around it, and he gets the helmet from the ringmaster, and he frees Spider-Man, and then they fight against it. This one, Daredevil, because Spider-Man, of course, has no skills. we get a lot of cool Daredevil scenes because Spider-Man's supposed to be a total newbie in this sort of thing, and Daredevil's cool in that. Friends of mine were talking about the Scorpion. I'm really worried about the Scorpion episode because that's like one of my, I mean, outside of the final chapter, the Scorpion episode, comic book is one of my favorites because it was a character that was stronger and faster. He could actually, arm strength could break his webs. So it was like he had everything going for him. And he beat up Spider-Man twice. And then in the last point, Spider-Man, blinded him with his webs. And then he webbed his feet. So then at points, Spider-Man was quicker. At that point, he's just lashing out. He's able to use his spider sense at that point to dodge him.
No, I didn't say anything.
Okay,
I was just chuckling.
Okay, so then you have so at that point, that's what we finally. But then there's an effect to that. He wins. He beats him. He rips the tail off. And this is he actually got, he took some sort of serum and got strength, that sort of thing. But when Peter Parker goes back to school, he's a laughing stock because he looks like he got ran over by a truck. And they're like, oh, who are you fighting? And he's just like, ah. So that's the Parker luck. That's the thing, not the Parker luck of, the thing is, and the story's so good, I didn't even get into the plot that, J. Jonah Jameson's the one who, finances the Scorpion. Then the Scorpion says, hey, I've had it with J. Jonah Jameson. I'm going to kill him. So Spider-Man has to stop an arch enemy against his greatest enemy, J. Jonah Jameson. But he's really going there because he knows Betty's there. So he can't trust, he probably would save J. Jonah Jameson anyway, but then he's also more worried about Betty. So he goes in to save. But this sort of, it's like Clueless, where everybody has a group. So he has like as as the studious one, let's not, he's kind of like this nerd cool. Because I don't want to just go Revenge of the Nerds. He's kind of, Parker out, like that sort of stuff. So he gets to use some slang. And then the harder part was which was when I started to see the football character, was that Lonnie?
Yeah.
So he was like, they're not doing the Flash Thompson. He's going to be Parker's friend, and they have this. He's like, Parker's in the lab, and they're like, we won, we're all cheering Parker, and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, and I didn't see where it was going. Then I woke up after watching another episode. It's like, yeah, he's with the gang. I was like,
hold on. I'm not gonna let you get away with that. You're gonna try to slip that one in and just keep rolling. You fell asleep on the episodes because you were that bored,
right? I have. Maybe I just watched it too late. I watched them too late.
No, if it was good, it wouldn't matter how late it is. You would stay up because you want to see what's going on. You were like, oh man, it's nap time. It's not going anywhere.
I went to watch I went to watch, what's that thing? Phantom 2040 to see if it had the same effect if I would fall asleep. And I was like, oh, Phantom 2040 is like a cleaned up version of Aeon Flux. It has the same type of artwork, but it doesn't have the sexuality stuff in it. But I was like, I want to see if I fall asleep on this. And I was like,
I think it was the same creators. I think it was the same creators on Phantom 2020. I think it was the same creators.
Okay, cool. So, but yeah, I think in the first 3 or so, I kind of drifted, and then
drifted off to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I don't blame you.
I keep seeing the unicorn. I was like, is that the Iron Man villain? So I got to check. I got to see how the unicorn turns up in this thing. But
the unicorn is no one's villain.
Okay.
Right? These guys are so generic. They're all tech. Okay, all the villains come from tech.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah.
That was a fun part of the Vulture, who looked clearly old, but then when you see him use the magnetics, he's able to lift up people.
Wasn't it that? I don't know if that was what he was doing originally. I can't
Mhm.
remember, but I know that I think the exposure to the magnetics eventually just gave him the strength. Period.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's this is the thing. That's a part of, even having the kind of connection between because what was it? What's the name? Dr. Octopus had that stuff, but at the same time, he was using the controls to do that. When the explosion, he was totally connected to that, and they played that up in the Spider-Man comic books where the arms of Dr. Octopus would fight Spider-Man without Dr. Octopus. So you're having tech, but not just playing off of I put on a suit of armor, and but it's a tough. I think the harder part is being up and seeing Peter Parker trying to go fight someone because who's that guy? Norman Osborn sends him out to, oh no, with the Daredevil episodes. He sends him out to deal with Daredevil, with not knowing who it was. You have a burglar, and then the two friends are there, and he's saying, "I have a secret," and he's like, "Oh, you do? What secret? I know every secret." And I was, "Oh, so you know he's Spider-Man? Oh, and I found out you're Spider-Man." And it's just like, oh God, this is like the thing is, and I always bring it up. We've talked about it many times. Marvel, they were trying to turn the cliche on everything, and they had the secret identity. So they played up in the first Hulk thing where the Hulk has been somewhere and they see Bruce Banner with torn clothes, and they don't look to say that. They just say, well, it's Bruce Banner, and somehow his clothes got torn. Like nobody makes the connection that Bruce Banner is now the Hulk, like which is like what you would be obvious. Is one is a hulking monster, other guy is a slim scientist. And same with Spider-Man. They did the great episode where issue where he loses his spider powers and he's fighting Doctor Octopus, and Doctor
Yeah,
Octopus is handed
it's
to.
unmasked.
The cover is showing him get it's almost like and there's so many bits from the original Spider-Man that's kind of bits that were in Superman. Like even the early Mary Jane is a bit from like the Golden Age, but it's like that sort of bit of having the mask and the cover. Like, oh no! When as a kid, you're like, oh no! And this is the thing that for
And the
the
resolution, the way they resolved it was, he goes and because Dr. Octopus is wiping him all over the place, he's like, what is this? And when he unmasks, he's like, this can't be Spider-Man. This is some kid.
so
Bring me the real Spider-Man. And everybody's along with him. Like, yeah, where's the real Spider-Man?
yes, yeah.
And then when Spider-Man shows up again, looking exactly the same with the mask on, nobody thinks twice about it.
Yeah, or the Flash Thompson taking them, and Doctor Doom taking Flash Thompson away, and so it's like there's so many bits, or even the more jokey thing of it. No, that's the thing. I think that they say that who's that guy Robert Downey Jr. Did the they joked about being the bodyguard. He said he threw in the I'm Iron Man, and they played to that, and they I guess it's successful to them. But I think having Iron Man as Marvel did a ton of great stuff, having Iron Man and Doctor Doom together, and he's like saying, "Wow, if Stark's underlings are as smart as seemingly as almost as smart as him, does he have everyone like this in his employ?" So it's like they had so many kind of fun bits, or even the idea because I think Kirby was just like, well, Cap is kind of a a known figure, so he doesn't really historical figure, so he just basically won't care for the mass. And then with even though they didn't keep it, they played up the chance of Captain America dying publicly, and then Captain America coming back in the audience, the reader not knowing, but they didn't stick to that, so but it's like, but they had fun with it. And here, just like the movies and the TV shows of not Marvel, of all of the stuff, they're just like, let's just throw the secret identity because that's the most ridiculous. A guy with a full face mask, everybody can figure that out. He like more so even Batman, it's like the whole face mask entirely covered, and he calls himself Spider-Man, not Spider-Boy, or Spider-Team, And it's like, but here with all of the grunge stuff, then you like, well, obviously. But then the other thing is like the way they played it in the comic books when he ran into like Liz Allen, right? And Liz Allen is warming up to Peter Parker, and he says something romantic to Liz Allen. He's Spider-Man at that point to her, And I think Kurt Busiek played him as a kid, but when he was Spider-Man, he was just Spider-Man. And then when he runs into Liz Allen, Peter Parker calls Liz Allen, like, no, I'm waiting for Spider-Man to call me. So it's like the idea that it wasn't, I think with the Avengers, they had a scene where he was kind of, brash, but at the same time, that not everyone knowing, even the heroes not knowing he was a kid. And that's what the Andrew Garfield portion of being like, if he's 15, but like long and lanky type of thing. So he got his height, but he's only, he's younger than Flash and the rest of them because he's smarter and that sort of thing. So, but anyway, going back to this thing, it's and this is recognizing the change in Peter Parker from the Ditko stuff to being a loner to having friends like Harry and Flash, even though he would be volatile at times with them, but this thing is going not from the Stanley Romita stuff and going into the nerd, cool, everyone having a friend, that sort of thing, and his friends, have their own particular style and that sort of thing. And it's just like, it kind of takes away from the, even the Romita, there would be parts, the whole part of showing him Spider-Man No More and seeing him walking alone, he would have the friendly moments, and then he would go to his moments of being alone. So they were playing up both of it. But, here, he can't escape. He has the father figure in Norman Osborn. He's got all the friends in the world. And, let's get to Tombstone, right? I was going to. With Tombstone, the idea, it was just we talked about this before, so hopefully we can get most of that out. But having him go from being a regular jock, but then, and there's many a basketball player or football player that have been pulled back and forth, but there is a contingent of people who say, hey, who's the guy who was on the Chicago Bulls? They were like, no, we don't want you here. Isaiah Thomas. They're like, no, whatever happened, these guys were good basketball players, but Isaiah Thomas from the Pistons, you all those skills that we had, you're gonna make it, and he did, and that's the thing to do, doing the bully and having this background being forced into this stuff, and I don't know. You want to say some stuff to that, and then I'll come back in.
Well, we want to go back what you said about Norman Osborn and his father figure. His father figure traditionally is Uncle Ben. And Uncle Ben remains his father figure even after he passes away, because Uncle Ben, again, when he tells him, hey, with great power comes great responsibility. And Peter doesn't listen. He doesn't listen. He's like, I'm looking out for number one. And that results in Uncle Ben dying. It never leaves him. Okay, that is a life lesson that never leaves him. It's true, and then it is cemented in his loss, of his uncle, who is his father figure. And he's never replaced. That was something they never did in the comics. There was never somebody else who came over and was a surrogate father to Peter Parker. And then, of course, Aunt May is always there. She's still there. Okay, but that was this pivotal thing, and it was the singular moment, and it was solely for Uncle Ben. The second that you give him somebody else as a father figure, be it Tony Stark or, or Norman Osborn, you totally, Uncle Ben is no longer a needed character. Even in this one, we don't see him. Okay, it's been episodes. We see Aunt May, but we don't see him, and I don't like that, because this is the only thing that character has, and you're taking it away from him. Okay, there's nobody in the writer's room like, whoa, wait a second. The only thing this character has is this moment of incredibly good advice, sage advice to him, and then he's going to die. And he can't have that. He can't have that. And of course, they want to do some episode where like, oh, look how he played around with him. It's like, no. The fact that he loved his uncle is not the point. Okay, the fact that Peter Parker is a hero, that's the point. And you totally undercut that when you decide to do these particular things, particularly with Norman Osborn. With Tony Stark, I could see the whole hero worship thing going on. But then they decided to go the road where it was going to be Aunt May who said the lines. And I was like, I don't understand. I really don't understand it. She gets more time. Everything else with Peter Parker, Uncle Ben is dead and gone. We don't even see him, and he can't get that much. That bit right over there, the self-set, that bit he can't get. So, again, these are things that I have a problem with, because we have that catalyst as for why he decides to become a hero. Because before, he really was doing the kid thing. Like, I'm in it for me. You guys bullied me. Well, now I got the power. Okay, I can do what I want. I can make money. And he says specifically, the only people I'm going to be nice to, the only people who I'm going to have any concern for are my uncle and aunt, because those are the only people who care about me. Right? And it's that small-mindedness, it's that selfishness that ends up, coming back on him. And he realizes, he realizes in the worst possible way what it is that his uncle was saying. You've taken that away from the character. And it's such a,
well,
that morality,
mm-hmm.
That morality they don't feel is necessary. Now, he needs to have tech support and an outfit that has a police comm in the mask and it's fire retardant. He needs all of that type of stuff, but he doesn't need morality. So these changes are just like, I sit down and I don't think I'm probably never going to have the opportunity to be in a writer's room and write for, Spider-Man, a Spider-Man cartoon. That's probably never going to happen. But if I was, based on all the stuff that I know about the character and seeing how this character works, then why would you want to undo these particular things? To what end? Because you're not getting any great attraction.
All right. I got to stop you right now. I'm going to say this, unless,
Uh-oh.
unless, unless you feel, I've imagined this, right? Because I didn't understand. I work in jobs and think I can do X, Y, Z better, right? You think that you're going to survive a comic book writer's room? I'm saying I played this out in my house and said,
For me?
who put that idea on the board? Why is that thing still on the board? And when I say how ridiculous that is, well, all right, just say it out loud. Explain to me the story out loud. Act it out. And then next thing you know, I put it in my script, but you had this problem, that problem, this problem, that problem. Okay, y'all tore it up. What are we gonna do next? We doing this idea? All right. You're gonna go down that route. Everybody's got a friend, huh? You know how it's gonna go. It's gonna go bad. You're gonna be in the room. You're gonna see stuff in there. Well, the thing is like this. I'll put me in the Deadpool room. The third one is like, I got it. You'll soften them up completely. Like, he's totally likable. Doesn't say I'm gonna kill Wolverine. He said we're gonna fight, and he's gonna say it in such a way so there's a contingency of people that can connect to this guy as being this soft, huggable and lovable. This that. I finally figured it out. He said, we need to get some, was it a circle chase? We need to get some killing. We're going to get all the stuff, the Greg Capullo, the Joe Mad, that type of killing, the careless and jokes. It's like, well, no, we got to show him we're going to have that, but we need to have him have the family. I don't want no more family scenes. All right, Sam's out again. So I got kicked out of the Deadpool writing room too now. You think you're going to fare any better than me in those rooms?
I will fare better if you're in the room with me and you're head writer, so I can actually get these ideas up there. But I mean, you're right, because there's a consensus going on in the room as to what needs to happen, as the boxes that need to be checked, as to what flies. And I think the larger approach, especially when it comes to superhero stuff, is this is ridiculous, stupid kid stuff. And we can make all of these improvements. I'm pretty certain they also get some directives from on high. Hey, can you do these? Can we bring in some of these characters and so on and so forth? But I'll be honest, as someone who went to it's a little bit, my story's a little bit different. But the amount of diversity that they have in high school, where all these kids have these friends from all these different backgrounds, I'm like, that usually doesn't happen. That usually doesn't happen. You know people. You may be in class, you sit next to people, you know each other, that type of stuff, but your inner circle doesn't tend to be as diverse as these guys are putting into the shows. So for me, again, that's very artificial. So I think that's something up from on high. But then in terms of the meat and potatoes of the story, when you have a character like Spider-Man, and it doesn't seem that you have any understanding as to what makes this character work. That he's a kid, so he's a kid. He needs adult supervision in the form of Norman Osborn. When for us as kids, the big thing was, hey, this is a kid and he's doing it himself. Okay, and he's got his own life, and it's got to be kept private. His parents can't know, which is the same thing with a lot of kids. Okay, I want my own privacy. I want to do these particular things, and I don't need my mother and father nosing in all the time, even if I'm not a superhero. So they'll think, again, that was right there on the level with kids. Somehow they think that that's changed, number one. And then if you want to take, and I mean this incredibly loosely, a more adult approach with it, that even an adult doesn't have a right to privacy. Like, we have to have full disclosure with each other at every moment at all times, which is just utterly ludicrous.
Yeah. I mean, the hard part is saying, I mean, to be honest about it. And I know that these writers are, thinking of their growing up, and that, they had a special friend and these kind of mixing of friends and this, that, and the other. Well, Peter Parker, especially, early on, his first like real friend is Betty when he goes into a work environment. Like, that's kind of his first friend. And then slowly becomes, because he got so much going on, it's Liz Allen, but it's like momentary encounters in between school, like leaving and that sort of thing. This whole thing of giving all this time to, like, I don't even know if people have this much time in the world to be, doing, like, how do you do the Norman Osborn? Huh? Hmm? What's up? Oh, so that's me. How do you do? Huh? Say that again.
I think you're freezing on my side. I'm just gonna
Okay, maybe there's something going wrong. All right,
try to
cool.
get to some place where I get a little better service.
All right.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think oh, I don't know if there's enough. I mean, it's a cartoon, so you can make as much time as you want. But you got school time with the people. You got hangout time. He's got the you got the going to the study group, and the scenes with Norman Osborn. That's a lot of stuff for the day. So for me, it's like, they're doing as much as they can and much as they want to. I will note that not all the outfits, but some of those outfits are the ones to the when Peter Parker himself made all those outfits to for some, I forget the reason, not the Fantastic Four one, the Future Foundation one, but some of those other ones, the Hornet and all those ones, the ones Peter Parker made, and he used them for a brief time, and then those characters they kind of did like the Superman, the Reign of Superman, but Peter Parker came up with all those outfits, and then people took those things on just as a kind of a gag type of deal. But they weren't a gag where he was falling over his foot and everything didn't work. He made them. He was able to do stuff with them, and then he stopped being. He went back to Spider-Man. But so they're trying to have some ties into that. I don't. Other than going into the Tombstone character, I don't know why he has fake dreads. Why he has the dark color. Everyone else color. The guy was I guess it's Harry Osborn. His, just darker shade of brown. But what's the name? This thing's a blue, or I guess supposed to be black, but using the comic book blue color, and it's just like, no, they look like fake, like Sam Perkins on the Pacers. But anyway, this for me, I mean, your sentiments kind of covered most of the stuff I was thinking, but it's a character that's very close to my heart as a character. And you said your top five, I guess. Going in, I would just go from when I was a kid, because the ones you find later you can always go to later. But no, I think it was Batman first. It was either a cross between the Superman or Superboy cartoon, and then Spider-Man kind of eclipsed like all of them at that when I saw him, and then the X-Men came along, so it's always mixed between It was more so Angel, but I really felt similar to Cyclops, so it'd always be a switch between Angel or Cyclops. And then more recent, there was a ton of other characters that I liked, but then more recently I hadn't found, like the character as much as as Hellboy. So those are kind of that, but there's so many other characters in between that I can go through that I can look at and say, yeah, the Fantastic Four alone as a group, but mainly wanting them to be back to their full strength. But those will be kind of the five that were my mainstay type of characters. But the Peter Parker character, the character that's kind of struggling and has to think his way out of stuff, is the character that I met. And I know he's going to get up to full speed at some point. They're playing this up. At some point, he's going to be able to do those episodes people like, where he's just able to, the Hyde and Cobra issue, or the Tarantula issue in the '80s, where he's basically able to mop the floor with all three of them separately. So that's what people want to get to. I didn't argue. I just talked with somebody online where they said their favorite was the Hyde issue, and I was like, there's no surprise here. The character of Hyde looks pretty menacing. Wasn't able to touch him, so that whole menacing cover doesn't really amount to much. But I mean, more fans like this, and it seems like, I don't know if the fans are. I think we were bringing up the other cartoons. I think I watched the Ultimate Spider-Man, where it was with Nick Fury, and it wasn't really Spider-Man, but it was funny. So it's like, okay, it has some funny bits here. The endearing, Jimmy Olsen, kind of same with the Homecoming. It kind of feels more like a Jimmy Olsen, this wholesome kind of guy that really, is trying his best, good to
The
people.
Ultimate Spider-Man series.
Yeah, the ultimate one where he had Nick Fury in it.
That was just fun.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
I watched it. I was cracking up. I was on the floor cracking up.
I mean, and they did. That was still they're in this. They were still in that mode where they wanted the show to be a vehicle. They were going to use Spider-Man, but it was going to be a vehicle to introduce a bunch of other characters.
Hmm.
Because what was the one they had with the Hulk? It was like a Hulk team.
Oh, add the Adam Hulk smash, the Hulk
Yeah,
smash.
like or something like that. I can't remember, but the whole idea is they wanted to they wanted to use this as a vehicle. We're going to introduce as many characters as possible, and Spider-Man, of course, is going to be the conduit towards that, which is fine because that everybody has their gateway character into this stuff. Spider-Man's very likable, so historically he's the best fit. So that was a fun show to watch. If that wasn't your cup of tea, we're having all those characters running around. Then they had the other one was a Spectacular Spider-Man, which was also that was good. I really enjoyed that one as well.
Hmm.
And then we get here. I mean, even the stuff that they're doing with Lonnie Lincoln, where like, okay, and I liked what they were doing originally. I was like, okay, so he's not going to be a bully. He's not going to be a dumb jock. And, he's going to come over. He's going to, he's probably one of the most popular kids in the school, if not the most popular. And he's going to befriend Peter. He's going to like, no, I really like this guy. I want to study with him because he's good at this stuff. I want to get better. So we totally decided we're not going to go the bully route. I'm like, okay, fine. I think that's been used to death at this point, and they don't do it well anymore. So I'm like, okay. But then we go over here, and of course, when Lonnie goes home, he goes back to Harlem, and the music changes, and he gets more somber. And I'm thinking, man, this kid has like a terrible home life. And when he goes home, like, no, two parents in a home, younger brother, good family structure, and somehow this kid is still seduced by the streets. It's ridiculous. He goes over there to his younger brother. I can understand, but Lonnie has everything going for him. He's the quarterback. He's good on the team, which means he's going to have all these college scholarships going to be given to him. He's got a girlfriend, pretty girlfriend. Okay, there's no and his home life is good. There's no reason for him to be seduced, even after he gets his brother out of it. I mean, he goes over there, and the guy's like, "No, your brother can't leave because he came in here." I'm like, "Okay, you can have me instead." All right, so now I got you. Please. And as soon as I'm out of there, I'm like, I'm calling the cops. Like, he's threatening me. Look at these phone calls right over here. That's enough to get this dude locked up and get me some protection. I'm not going to come over here and join this gang. But the episode where he gets into that gang fight, gets stabbed, and he's not like, yo, this is bad. I need to extricate myself from this. He's like, no, I guess this isn't too bad. This is okay. I'm like, it made no sense. It made no sense that you wanted to have this character be different. You wanted to have the character be different than the stereotypical bully. And then you make him into the stereotypical street kid.
Yeah, and the hard part is the truth of the matter
and
is,
the braids.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is the bully aspect. I don't know. I think there's a difference between way people think of bullies. I think they think, okay, naughty by nurture, right? That at some point someone is pushing you this way, and then you sort of go, you got bullied, and you have a learned experience. And I always feel, I won't use the description of the family person who, was like, taking care of me, but they were, they felt that they were bullied by, someone that was older. But I always looked at it as they couldn't wait to find someone to bully. They're not like, oh, it's a learned behavior. It's like, no, this is cool. When I'm bigger, I can bully somebody else. Because at the same time, when when I got bigger, and I was, for a long time, I felt, oh, I'm never gonna get tall. It's not happening. And then at some point, when you're that, you have the height, or you have someone strong, like there's no reason to, or a family, a sibling, or someone you're caring for, you're like, just want the best for them. So it's kind of like this thing of, and having friends of the draw, like the draw to it, the draw to the life from a person who's, the alpha in the group, the one that everyone wants to hang with. And he still was drawn to that thing, having two parents in the home, that sort of thing. Because I've seen on my block alone, like some of the, someone who passed, someone that not passed, but was killed doing the crime. He always had, two parents in the home. They were saying, oh, if there was a football program, he would have gone into it. But it's like, no, I think he was kind of, like when the block parties happened, they would go into people's houses while everyone was outside. So it's like they have two parents. This guy on my block was was one of the alphas, one of the toughest guys in the block, or at least he had the status of being toughest guy, and he, had the hottest girls, and whether it be, thinking because he was beat as a kid or something like that. But it's saying no, you have you got gear bikes. Girls are coming to the block to see you. Multiple girls. Why do you go to the fast life and/or crime? There's no reason for it. Because you want to. There's people having a bad situation. That's different. You're not presenting a kid in a bad situation. You have to present a kid who has a face. And I have friends like that who had a face of being, okay, I can be cool. And then they code switch and be like, yo, let's go. I'll meet you in here, do X, Y, Z, bang, 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 bang. And it's a shocker when you see that. I think like they did it in Grease, right? Where Grease is like, he knows he can't get Sandy the normal way, so he just has this like romance at the beach with her, right? And then when he's at school, he's smoking cigarettes and this, that, and the other. His voice is different. And then when he sees Sandy, he like, Sandy! And he... and then his friends are like, who is that? And he's like, but that's where you could play it up. But having a kid that was totally good and having him go totally south, and you can have some unfortunate situations, but it's just like, I've been around a friend of mine who had a gang, and I've been with them, and at the same time there've been a couple of not real fights, fake fights while I was with them in between as a group. But at the same time, I never did anything or never was pushed to do it. And I thought about it and said, what if I didn't move? If I didn't move? Well, I was out with them a couple of times when they were doing it, and I wasn't pulled to it. I was pulled to, oh God, I'm going to jail. What am I going to say? Okay, now I can't hang out with them no more. I can't do it no more. It's not going to work. So the looming thing of saying, hey, this was my, one of my closest friends. If I hadn't moved, what would I have done? Like, no, there was other prospects for me going on. And at the same time, I was doing stuff by myself. I was having, if I wasn't having a great time on the block or this, that, and the other, I was, things were starting, things were happening for me. So, and they didn't want me in the gang anyway. So you already know that portion. All these years of not wanting me, why would they want me now? So, it's a pull. It's a pull to people. Like doing penny ante stuff is different, but the pull has to be there, and the want, that experience. But anyway, all that to say, obviously, all these stories about Spider-Man and our, and our real life connection to it means that this character really kind of touched, every iteration kind of touched us in some way, to us. But at the same time, it was, to see it turned into kind of the softest version for the masses is very hard to take. Any last words or any more words? You can say as much as you want.
No, I think I've said enough for now.
All right.
I will say this. I hope season 2 is better. That's always a possibility.
Oh.
Maybe they can ground themselves in Spider-Man lore and his well, I won't say mythos, but his reason for being. I think they can ground themselves in that a bit more, and we can get better stories that way.
Yeah, I hope so. And I don't know. I don't know. This period with the MCU hasn't been the greatest for me as far as Spider-Man, outside of I guess Andrew Garfield coming back for 2 seconds. But this character is popular and he's malleable to whatever people want him to be. Whereas I think Marv Wolfman pointed out, he said there was a period where Marvel, the voice for the characters, could be you could tell the voice of each character at one point. And then I think around the time, what's that thing? I think around the time Quesada came in Ultimate Spider-Man, it kind of said the voice is this generic type of kid who's trying to do his best, even if he fails, he makes mistakes, he's trying his best. And even though he's sometimes doing the wrong thing, like in the first Spider-Man movie where he gets stuck in the warehouse and he can't get out. So, but anyway, all right. Have your comments, because I know a lot of people like this type of thing. So it'd be for good conversation. Spinner rack
Well,
out.